overfeeling is when you take that thought, I guess, when that overthinked thought. You know what I'm trying to say? The thought that you overthought, right? When you take that thought
the things that think that thought.
Yeah, I think my thoughts. I think.
Okay, Dr. Seuss.
Yeah. So. What up, everybody? You are back in tune with another episode of In the Fields podcast. It is your host, Johnny, with my lovely wife, Lisa, and we are back with your weekly dose of the feels, baby. And we are going to be exploring the overfeelers and the overthinkers and how oftentimes overfeeling and overthinking can lead to sometimes filling in the blanks with our own narrative, and how oftentimes, we can almost distort reality. And, I want to start this episode off with some scenarios that can cause the overthinking and the overfeeling. So I figured I'll shoot some scenarios your way. You let me know, like, the first thought that comes to mind, because oftentimes that first thought is that, the devil's advocate, the little evil voice in the back of your head that's kind of making the situation negative. So I'll rattle some at you. And again, guys, I want you also, if you hear these, drop them in the comments. Like, if you guys are also relating to that situation, or when y'all hear that first thought in your brain when the scenario comes, drop it in the comments below, wherever you're watching, whether it's on YouTube or if you're listening to us on Spotify or whatever streaming platform, wherever you are, we are here. So here we go. Again, this is for the overfeelers and the overthinkers. Some quick scenarios. You'll respond back with the quick situation or the quick thought or the first feeling that comes to mind.
Got it.
So you send a long paragraph to somebody that you're communicating with, and they respond with K. What's the worst case scenario overthought here?
I'm going to, right off the rip, get upset. And because of that, I'm going to be like, they don't care. They clearly don't give a fuck. I don't even think they even read it. They just saw that it was long and just responded with K.
Yep. No, I definitely hear that for sure. And then, all right, so imagine someone reads your message at 2:14 p.m. and never responds. Walk me through the overthought interpretation.
Like 2:14 in the morning?
No, 2:14 p.m. So in the afternoon, you text somebody, they read it, and then they don't respond. And you there, checking, yo, did they read my shit?
Yeah.
So what's that? Walk me through the overthought interpretation. How does the thought start to boil up when you see that this important message has been sitting there on read for too long?
I'm just gonna go based off of my old self when I would get overthinking and situations that I found myself in that. My first thought was initially going worst case scenario. They're entertaining somebody else. They don't have time for me. They're clearly busy. Not with work or anything important, but doing something that could potentially hurt me.
Okay. All right. So this one, I like to call this the neutral emoji situation, where, maybe you send something important, or maybe you extend yourself to a friend or family member, and they respond with just a thumbs up. Give me your dramatic overthought interpretation of that.
I'm not important to you. All I get is a thumbs up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, so here's another one. This one's what I like to call the partner's change of tone. So your partner says, "Nothing's wrong, I'm just tired." What's your overthought version of what they really meant?
I don't want to talk to you. I need my space. Leave me alone. I got other things going on. But also on the flip, it's like, who else are you giving your attention to if it's not me? Because you clearly don't have time for me.
Mm-hmm. And that's oftentimes the narratives that we paint for ourselves, especially when, we're in situations with people that may not even be necessarily good at communicating. Some people are just not good at it. Some people, especially, I will say, just from the man's perspective, that specific one kind of resonates with me a little bit, because oftentimes as men too, we don't want to burden our partner, right? We want to be the strong one in our relationship. So men, most of the time, they don't ever really be saying what's wrong with them. We try not to come to women with our problems because we want to be the problem solver, not the person with the problem, So I will say, like, sometimes that, that initial thought that you have, which is you don't care, you don't want to communicate with me, you might be entertaining somebody else. On the flip side of that, the truth, there's, the hidden truth within that, that maybe, again, your partner might be struggling to communicate. And I, too, used to be the same way. Like, it became much easier for me to communicate the issues and express to you the perspective from which I stand as well. So I think I speak on behalf of a lot of men when I say that oftentimes we are concerned about coming to our woman with our problems because, I mean, oftentimes it's usually some shit that you can't fix, because that's like usually your response to me is you're like, baby, I wish I could fix it for you. Which, of course, I love that.
Which realistically isn't very helpful to you in
the
moment.
No. Again, but that's the thing. Like, I also put myself in a headspace where if I do bring a problem to you, it's not because I want a solution, but because I need somebody to vent to.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that's like me going to my best friend. Like, I'm not going to hit up Jay with my problem and expect him to solve it. That ain't my man. You know what I mean? Like, so it's like, but again, that's the perspective of being in a man's shoes, is like, oftentimes we are the strong ones. We are the problem solvers, the Mr. I got it. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's oftentimes how we're portrayed. So when we bring problems, the thought of bringing a problem to my partner in a weird way coincides with weakness. And I think that's why men fear a certain level. I think men fear that certain level of transparency, because to be transparent requires you to be vulnerable, and vulnerable oftentimes is associated with weakness. So it's like, we will just be like, nah, it's cool, I'm fine, I'll figure it out, I got it, don't worry about it. Like, shit, I even do that sometimes to this day.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it's, again, that's just like the truth side of I would say that situation for sure. But yeah, man, if you guys also have any thoughts, like I said, make sure you guys drop it in the comments below. This is a pretty dope way to start the episode. And before we continue, we can give them a word from our sponsors. You guys already know the vibes, baby. Overthink, the best lemonade and the only lemonade that is taking the entire Lehigh Valley by storm.
Clock that.
Made with natural ingredients, but most importantly, made with love. The man, the myth, the legend, La Shells himself, the creator of Overthink. You guys have seen him here on one of our episodes, and we were so grateful to have him. So grateful to have him as a sponsor. We appreciate you guys as always, and we'll forever be pushing the brand and be pushing it as much as we can to help elevate it and push it to all of the feelers, because, again, this is a drink that when you drink it, you can feel it. Overthink, baby.
That.
Make sure you guys go follow them on Instagram at @Ula_Laid. Again, Ula_Laid. Tell them Johnny and Lisa sent you from In the Fields podcast. Go get your bottles today, baby. Yes, sir. We are back with your weekly dose of the feels, baby. It's your boy Johnny with my wife Lisa. And yeah, we are back taking a deep dive into the whole concept and realm of overfeeling and overthinking. And, I feel like oftentimes people throw those terms out and don't really understand what they mean. Like, some people be like, oh, I'm an overthinker. But really, you're just somebody who's thoroughly analyzes situations. Like, that doesn't necessarily consider you an overthinker. Like, I tend to think overthinking has sort of a negative connotation to it.
It does.
So it's like when you overthink, in a sense, you're analyzing the situation to the point where you're almost even looking into the worst outcomes. And I think overfeeling is when you take that thought, I guess, when that overthinked thought. You know what I'm trying to say? The thought that you overthought, right? When you take that thought
think that thought.
Yeah, I think my thoughts. I think.
Okay, Dr. Seuss.
Yeah. So overfeeling, though, it's like when you overfeeling is like when you take that thought that you overthought, and then you make it into an emotional fact. You know what I'm saying? You were like, it's like you're internalizing the thought, and then you're like, it is exactly what I feel it is. You know what I mean? When you feel
It becomes like
something.
emotional thinking rather than logical because it breaks down basically to your heart is hijacking your logical thinking.
And again, and just from our experience, or at least mine for sure, like oftentimes I feel that when I'm making emotional observations, oftentimes the emotional observation doesn't necessarily align with fact.
Yeah, almost never.
And this is again is due to the fact that when we as emotional creatures rely on how we feel about things, we tend to lose the we tend to lose the reality of the situation because we're busy painting it however we see fit. And when you have a negative lens on things and you're looking at it again from an emotional standpoint but also a negative one, it creates disaster within whatever scenario you're in. It's like you look at it and there is nothing that can go right there because you've already deemed it to be wrong. So there's no correcting, there is no uplift, there is no upside to this. Everything they're doing is it's like when you look at life through a negative lens and it's like you feel like it's coming at you or like it's happening to you instead of happening for you. Like if that makes sense or if I'm getting that point across correctly.
Yeah, I mean, from speaking from like personal experiences, like I talk about my like healing journey all the time. And one thing that I've noticed, because for the longest time, I was a very heavy overthinker when it came to everything. And I've learned throughout time that a lot of that comes from like open wounds, unmet needs, and things that like I wasn't addressing. But I've also learned that, when, like you said, when you're looking through a negative lens, you tend to hyperfixate on everything around you that is potentially going wrong. So you're like clouding the ability to even see good in anything. So when you have just such a hyperfixated lens on negativity, it's going to fuel your overthinking because to you now everything in your head, it makes sense because it's like, well, this is wrong, this is wrong, this is wrong. This has to be wrong too. Like it just has to be because it doesn't make sense otherwise. And then you spiral and it becomes like this so clouded judgment on what you're trying to figure out, what you're thinking about, just all of it. And it plays a part in like just keeping you from being able to think logically. It like shuts that part off of your brain because you're just so hyper fixated on all this. You have to be able to take a step back. You have to be able to ask yourself better questions or ask like even the person you're with better questions to get a better understanding of what is actually happening rather than the picture you're painting in your brain.
Yeah, and I loved how you said that sometimes the heart can hijack the mind because even in those moments, especially when you're dealing with some sort of pain or maybe you just experienced a traumatic situation, like if somebody, like a breakup or something, like somebody you love hurts you, now it's like, when that starts to happen or
You
when
move
that
with caution.
or when that does happen, like somebody you love hurts you, now because of that, that has put you in a position where now you don't know who to trust. Now your reality has become distorted
Yeah, it's
because
cues.
of this trauma, because of this pain, and now it's everybody's out to get me.
It
To the
skews
point
your
where
view of love.
even where people's kindness can get
This ain't real.
misconstrued. Yeah, it can get misconstrued as some sort of
What are you doing here?
as some
Who
sort of
sent you?
right, exactly. Like even people's kindness can get distorted and misconstrued as some sort of like this is a test, right? Like this is to trick me. This is to like knock me off, or like you're not really this kind. You're just trying to finesse me.
You're trying to put love blinders on me, and I don't like that.
Yeah, so it just really sucks when you start to overthink and you start to overfeel because again, oftentimes it's not rooted in logic. It's not rooted in fact. And I love that you brought up the point where you need to start asking yourself questions to avoid the spiral, right? Like instead of spiraling, like unpack shit And I'm a big believer of like even putting shit on paper when you feel overwhelmed or have too many thoughts in your mind. Like, you have to be somebody that can break it down and look at it, because if you don't look at it for what it is, you will paint the picture or fill in the blanks. Like, you'll play Mad Libs. Like, people just be playing Mad Libs in real life
I
with their
used to do
feelings.
that a lot.
Yeah, bro. People just be doing that. They'll fill in the blank. It'll be like, hi, somebody could be like, oh my God, you look beautiful today. And then in your mind, you're just like, bitch, I know you're really a hater. You're just saying that because you want to pretend to be cool with me.
Well,
Like, you know
what
what I'm saying? Or like some dude could be like, oh shit, yo, bro, those kicks is fire or some shit. And they'd be like, yeah, nigga, you trying to rob me. You know what I'm saying? Like, it just be weird type of behavior that oftentimes is associated with that, overthinking and that overfeeling,
Well, what I think was crazy, like realization for me, was I was such an overthinker when it came to everything. I questioned everybody's motives. Everything was like questionable to me. And when I lived there, it felt like that was just normal. Like that was a normal way of me thinking. For me, that was logical thinking. I was protecting myself. I justified thinking the way that I did. To me, it made sense. But now where I am, it still happens. And I take accountability for that. And I'm still working through it. But I notice a significant decrease of that happening, especially within certain scenarios and situations where I know previously I would have overthought it, but now I don't. Now I am able to like deal with it in a logical way, like certain situations with friendships or even with me and you. Like one of my biggest things, again, breaking it down to like it tying in with open wounds. For me, I was somebody that was cheated on a lot. So in a lot of situations with you, I always thought like you were out here doing me dirt. And that was one of our biggest fights because you're like, I'm not doing anything. But in my head, I'm like, I feel it. It has to be real. But now I could go almost all day without talking to you and not have a single thought that that's even a thing. And now when looking back, I'm like, wow, like I wasted so much of my time worrying and fearing the worst when I could have just been chilling. Like, to me, looking back, I'm like, damn, like that was so unnecessary of me to do that. But I also understand it on a deeper level now of like, why
Yeah.
I was like that.
Well, you were conditioned, in my personal opinion. And I mean, that's just from me being with you. Like, when I got with you, I met somebody who, it's like, here's the thing. It's like when you burn yourself on the stove or something like that, it's like you still got to eat though. Like, so you're not going to just stop cooking. You know what I'm saying? The same thing with relationships. It's like, you know, I truly believe that the desire for love doesn't necessarily just go away. But sometimes some people get tired of burning themselves on the stove. So you get to a situation or you get into another situation with somebody where you're like, okay, I'm going to give this another chance. Yeah, I'm gonna fucking burn myself. You know what I mean? Like, you're so concerned, you know what I mean? Or it's like, when you fall off your bike all the time, it's like, yeah, you get back on the bike because you want to get back on the bike, but like, there's that fear that sometimes like you're white knuckling because you're just so worried, you're so concerned, and it's like it ends up becoming a desire for control,
Oh,
because
yeah.
only control, you feel like only
It's
control
safe.
is safe,
Mm-hmm.
and it becomes impossible to really flourish in a relationship when your desire is control versus peace, and again, that's becoming overly saturated in the overfeeling and the overthinking, and becoming conditioned to think that love is associated with pain. And even the way we grew up and seeing our parents and, these two people who loved each other, but dad is an abusive person, or mom and dad are always yelling and I'm in my room at night while they screaming at the top of their fucking lungs. You know what I'm saying? So
Yeah.
it also, we have to also take a step back from the conditioning and the prior examples that we have and really ask ourselves what we want from love. And again, maybe I'm just bringing up what you said before, which is kind of like asking yourself the right questions, is like, what do I want from a relationship? What is it that I'm looking for? Like, I want that essence of comfort where it does feel like a safe space. I don't want to have to question or control, or I want to just be.
Yeah, just I want to be
Yeah, I want it
here.
to just be, and
It's a two-way street though. Like you have to realize when you're in a relationship with somebody and you sit down and have these open communications of like these things that you want and need, and you have to feel it out whether or not that person is willing to work with you on those things. Like, is this going to be a team effort or is it still going to remain one sided? Because you also can't stay in a relationship forever hoping that things will change and only you're the one that's trying to change. So, like, it has to be a two-way street as well, which, like, for us, that worked.
of
You
course,
know what I
it
mean?
can't be
Like,
lopsided. I mean, at the end of the day, a relationship is when two people come together to move as one.
and because of you, I learned that because with all my previous relationships, I stayed in them for years because, like you mentioned, like seeing what we saw as kids, conditioned us for whatever. But like seeing that as kids, it kind of creates an idea for us that like this is just normal, especially when we get older and get into our own relationships and start experiencing those same things. You're like, oh shit, like this is how it is. You know what I mean? But like, I want to be here and I want to be with this person. So I guess I'll just deal with it like my parents did.
I feel like too oftentimes like people who are in successful long-term relationships don't really be giving away the sauce. Like they don't really be
Ever.
they don't like I feel like every person I met who was married, oftentimes the first thought that they would tell me was like, "You want my advice? Don't get married." You know what I mean? So it's kind of like it's weird, to be I guess creating your own norm of what love is supposed to be because I feel like I've had all these examples in my life, but then when I'm thinking about how those examples, influence my relationship, like oftentimes I find myself not being anything like the examples I had growing up.
Oh, 100%. Except for my grandparents. Those are like the only ones that I could like
But even
see.
then, Grammy got, that's not Grammy's first hubby, you know what I'm saying?
But
Like,
he is who I've known my whole life.
fair enough, but she's also lived a really long time, to be fair. So she's double your age. So it's like,
I love you, Graham.
I love you, Graham. But like again, even in that respect, like she was in a relationship at one point and it didn't work out. And I'm grateful that she found somebody because I love Pappy. That's my guy. And shout out Sakamoto days. And and I love Grammy too. You know what I'm saying? I love how they are with each other. Like even their playful banter.
They
and
are
like,
very fun.
And how they fuck with each other. Like they're very like best friends too. You know what I mean? So.
But I know that's something that was built. Like they had to put in the work to build that.
Yeah, and often I was that brings back to my original point, which is like oftentimes I feel like people who are in these long-term successful relationships, they don't really give out the sauce. Like they don't tell people like, "Hey, like real love requires a ton of forgiveness. There can't be room for overthinking and overfeeling because you guys have to be able to come together and make sound decisions that not only impact yourselves as individuals, but impact your relationship and also impact the people around you, such as your kids and even being around friends and shit like that. Like, we can't be having tension and weird shit going on between us and then us go hanging out with friends and us acting like that in front of people. Like, that shit ain't cool either. Like,
Because it is noticed. Like we have had, high tension moments and we have gone and hung out with friends. And I've had friends ask me, like, are you guys okay? And then it puts you in like an awkward position because it's like, I don't want to talk about it. But it's
yeah,
like,
I'm not here to
clearly
air
you
out
guys
dirty
can
laundry,
see it.
but like, we not talking. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, that's when you be like, no, everything cool, Yo, let me get a shot.
Yeah.
That's literally like our go-to. It'll be like, yeah, what about a relationship? Nothing, we ain't talking about that. Cheers. You know what I mean? So
Crazy times.
and again, that's everybody has their own different outlets and their own different ways. But to me, like I think overall, what I learned the most in throughout all of this is, as much as we can sit here and think of all the worst case scenarios and think of all the bad outcomes that are possible, that would also pose the idea that we could also think of all the amazing things that could happen. Like,
Speaking of
like,
that.
what if it, because oftentimes overthinking and overfeeling ties itself into what if it goes wrong? What if it doesn't work out?
I was gonna say.
What if it is this bad shit? The same way you could do that, because again, that's a choice. I don't give a fuck what nobody says.
It really
The one
is.
thing you've got control over is your thoughts. And the power of your thoughts, bro. I'm reading a book right now called Think Rich, Grow Rich. Anybody who's ever read the book already knows that I'm dropping gems right now. That book, I've already had the suspicion that this thought process was possible. That like we could seriously choose to also think of, well, what if it goes right?
You used to tell me that all the time. I was gonna say
okay,
that.
so this book
That was a huge hope for
that
help
shit
to me.
really, yo, when I wait till I'm done reading this book, I'm gonna give you the book. But Think Rich, Grow Rich really reaffirmed and solidified that in my brain to the point where now I can't be stopped, bro. I refuse. I no longer will be making excuses. I'm no longer gonna be copping out to some emotional bullshit. I'm really about accountability, positivity, and just always doing whatever we can to push forward. Because
Your mind is so powerful.
the mind is
It's crazy scary.
Is people do not
so
understand
insane.
that oftentimes, you know, from a psychological standpoint, like they say, you know, somebody who commits a crime once, you know, and gets away with it, let's say, you know, to them, they might be like, phew, right? Like, oh, shit, I did it once. Okay, cool. That's it. That's done.
I'm not going to test my luck again.
But then somebody who eventually keeps committing crime will eventually adopt the lifestyle of a criminal. And that's just because if you keep doing it and you keep subjecting yourself to that lifestyle, eventually and statistically and psychologically, you know, if you continue to commit crime, you become a criminal. Like, you eventually live the lifestyle of a criminal.
Diddy. No, I'm just
Right. Facts. Facts. Hella baby oil.
crazy.
Hella stuff. Beating bitches. You know, just weird shit. You know what I mean? Putting hits out on people.
It's the worst.
Allegedly. I know we're supposed to say that. Allegedly.
Case is still pending.
Here's what's crazy to me about the Diddy case. Sorry to get
Side
off
quest.
topic. How the fuck you in a RICO case, but you're by yourself?
Yeah.
Rico is supposed to be, we caught everybody that was in the system.
That's probably why that charge got dropped, because nobody else's name
How the
was
fuck
brought
you
up.
got a RICO charge and not another single person is in the case? That's crazy to me. Also, arson. Hello, you blew up Kid Cudi's car. That's insane. Chill.
Actually, I was so invested in this case, we should make a whole episode about it.
Okay, cool. So then we're gonna
'Cause
next
I
week.
love talking
Next
about
week
this
we're gonna have to
shit.
go down the Diddy rabbit hole.
Because I went down a deep
Y'all
ass
heard it
hole.
here. Y'all heard it here first from the wife. This week y'all gonna get overthinking, overfeeling. Next week you getting the diddler riddles. Okay, you getting the diddle riddles. Okay, you getting
man,
this.
it's crazy.
I'm gonna hit you with the Diddy gritty. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, next week we'll take a deep dive into that for sure. I know we got to talk about it. Everybody's talking about it right now, so it'll be just something we definitely explore. And we're not just gonna make it comedy. Of course, we will explore all the feelings and things like that. Like, I think we should explore and talk about like maybe why Cassie stayed during all this shit.
Oh, for sure.
That to me is something that I think is super relatable because a lot of people
I've
have
been in
stayed.
an abusive relationship for
we
5
just
fucking
talked
years.
we just talked about our elders and previous, you know, family members that have been involved in that shit. So
Yeah.
yeah, we'll definitely take a deep dive there. But yeah, man, I'm just so I'm convinced now, and I'm not done with the book, but I'm convinced now that the life you live is truly dependent
It's what you
on
choose.
the thoughts you give. The life you live is dependent on the thoughts you give, and
The choices you make.
the choice is yours. You could get with this, or you could get with that. You could get with this, or you could get with that. Sorry. But yeah, you know, I'm a huge believer in that. And again, oftentimes we don't know any better. We are conditioned to assume the worst. People, I've heard that phrasing so often growing up that it's like, you know, you got to prepare for the worst. You never know.
I was always taught prepare for the worst, but pray for the best.
Right, and that's cool, but like, that's like telling me like, that's like saying like, yo, when you in a relationship with somebody, be prepared to go to war. So I
Yeah.
gotta sit here while we're in our home, a place that's supposed to be peaceful, and you got your fatigues on and your fucking gun and your helmet and you're ready to fucking go to war. But nigga, for what? For what? What are we doing? This is supposed to be the base. This is a safe space, peace. This is a peaceful place. Why are we preparing for war? With who?
Well, what did it for me was, again, like being always taught, oh, prepare for the worst, but pray for the best. Growing up and like through my young adulthood and stuff, like, sure, that seemed like a great idea, especially because times were rough for me back then. So to me, it made sense. However, I feel like a big key aspect that I've been learning is that, like, it's really important to teach yourself. Really ask yourself what kind of life you desire. What do you want out of life? How do you want to feel throughout the rest of your life? Especially as we get older, because there is no stopping it. We all have an expiration date at some point, which we don't know when that is. If we're always preparing of when to die, when do we ever really live? You know what I mean? Like, that's a big thing that I never even really thought of or considered, but it wasn't like, and I know I'm so repetitive and like, I'm sure it's annoying, but like going through your healing journey is so fucking important.
Yeah, but that's not repetitive or annoying. I just want to be clear. I don't even want you to think that or frame it that way, because
But I just
that is
preach
the premise.
it. I know that I just preach it
But
so
it's not
much.
it's not even preaching, baby. This is our platform, my love. This is what we created, because this is something we want people to listen to through that journey, you know? And it's not repetitive. You're not being preachy. You are the angel on some people's shoulders.
I just hate that, like I really strive to be the person that I never had, and just be there to be so reminding to be kind to yourself, give yourself grace, give yourself that patience, because when you are at rock bottom and you think this is it, it's not. You have every opportunity to change that and get yourself out of it, regardless of how hard it feels. Because I've been there. I've been at rock bottom thinking that, like, my life is over, this is it, whatever, causing that overthinking to spiral. But it doesn't have to be like that. You can just ultimately change, like, your perspective on the entire situation. And like you've always said, like, but what if it goes right? And the second you start continually doing that with yourself, asking yourself, okay, what are the facts that I actually know? What are the more valuable questions that I can ask before I even allow myself to spiral? And the more you practice that, you get better at it. Just like anything, shooting a hoop, fucking cooking a dinner, like anything that you can learn that too.
Yeah, it takes practice. And that's with everything. Every skill that you learn, I always tell my son this. Like, I tell my son all the time, like, Bob, with anything that you start, you're going to suck at it first. And you have to be okay with that, because if you're not okay with being bad at it at first, you'll never get to the point where you're good at it, because you're so discouraged about being bad at it.
Yeah.
Instead of, again, reframing that to go, I know I'm bad at it now, but watch me put in the work and watch how good I get at it. It's kind of like how it was when I first started jump roping. Like, you seen me, like, I would mess up so many times. I couldn't switch legs or anything like that. I couldn't do it fast, nothing. I was like just hopping up and down like a bunny. Now I'm like almost like boxing, like, you know, kicking both legs out, going really fast, switching legs. Like, so, you know, again, it's any skill requires practice. And I loved how you said, like, you know, just asking yourself those questions, and even like reframing the situation or resettling it, and like reanalyzing it and going, you know, getting the facts, lining up the facts and lining the things that you know, instead of doing what a lot of people do when they overfeel and they overthink, which is, I'm going to fill in the gaps. I'm going to play Mad Libs, and I'm going to fill in the gaps with whatever negative shit aligns with my negative conclusion.
Yeah.
Because if I already have my conclusion, if I already know, like, for example, if it's like, I know you're being a bitch, if that's the conclusion, anything you do prior to that is just a means of you being a bitch.
Yeah.
You feel what I'm saying? The same way you could look at me and be like, I know you're being a dickhead. anything I do prior to that is gonna seem like some dickhead shit to you. So it's like, even if I'm like, if in your mind you're like, nothing you say or do is gonna fucking help me, then that means no matter how kind I'm being, no matter how nice I'm being, no matter how solution driven, doesn't matter. All of that just seems like a means to be a dickhead.
Yeah.
And vice versa. It's like, if I feel like, this person's being an asshole or you're being a bitch, it's like anything you do prior to that just seems like, oh, why are you serving me dinner? Did you poison it? That's weird. I'm not gonna eat this. I see you take a bite. You know what I mean? Like, just weird shit. Like, people, granted, that's obviously some extreme shit. But like, but I've even seen that in like movies. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, and again, I'm not saying people shouldn't move cautious, right? Like, yes, you are
Protect yourself.
You are to protect yourself. I understand that around strangers or like in settings, like for example, like when I go out, or if I'm like if I go out to like, and let's say we're getting lit at like somebody's house that I've never been at, or maybe at a club I've never been to, or like we're around people I've never been around, like, yeah, 9 times out of 10, I like to hold my drink. I don't like to just leave my drink sitting unattended because I'm weird about that kind of shit. You know what I'm saying? Not that like I feel like anybody would date rape me, but like, I'm cute. My wife says I'm handsome.
But also, it's the same thing, like something that I've realized too. It's all boils down to your decisions, because back when I was such an overthinker, I put myself in questionable situations.
Often, I feel like.
Now,
for me, I mean personally, not you. I'm talking about you. I'm saying like even when I used to overfeel.
For sure, put myself in very questionable situations, which only amped up my overthinking because I was seeing a lot more bad shit. But when you make better choices and better decisions, and you're putting yourself around better people, like when we go out to the club, we always have a section away from everybody else. Mm-hmm. We're always safe in some way, shape, or form.
Yeah, like we be lit, but we don't be in the mix. I love that.
Like, I go out, but I don't drink anymore. So yeah. I'm fully aware of what's happening pretty much the entire night. And I'm more so watching out for my friends while I'm there who are getting lit.
Facts.
And I'm just perfectly fine chilling with my cup of water.
Making friends in the bathroom and shit.
Yeah, still, even though I'm not drunk.
Girl, I love your outfit. That's you all night. You walk into the club and you're just like, you know what I'm going to do tonight, guys? I'm not going to drink. I'm just going to pour positivity all over all the bitches. It's so funny going out with you because you're just like, you literally compliment. You're such a girl's girl. I love it so much.
Which I used to never be.
Because when I first met you, you were like, I hate bitches.
Literally.
I only used to chill with the bros. I'm basically a dude in a girl's body. And I'm like, yeah, but you're mad pretty. And then it's just like, again, as you got into your soft girl era, and again, I think this also comes with the idea of you were conditioned to believe every woman had it out for you, or you were conditioned to believe because of your exes and how they cheated on you, you were conditioned to believe that every woman was trying to steal your man, and that anytime you had it, it's like, and women think this all the time. Women think, we just saw it in that that guy, Ryan Davis, that we saw his stand-up, the one that was on YouTube. Mm-hmm. He said in his one stand-up, he said, y'all be thinking all these girls want to fuck your man. Like, we just go to the grocery store and she be like, she calling her friend like, girl, you not gonna believe who just walked into the grocery store. Mm-hmm. Yep, her man. Mm-hmm. He's here. Girl, you better get down here. We gotta fuck him. Right on the bread. Like, come on, man. That shit don't be happening, bro. But girls be thinking that shit. And that's the overthinking, the overfeeling that is, again, conditioned through trauma and negative circumstances and negative situations that have happened prior. And it just, when you get to that point where you don't have to feel that way, or you actually do have control of your thought process.
Like, I said, it's everything in a whole. It's who you surround yourself with, the environment you surround yourself in, the people you pour into, like, how are they pouring back? I think it's just everything as a whole plays a part in the things that you're going to overthink in the way, because like now, the only thing I ever overthink is like when I get overwhelmed with too many tasks and then I start freaking out because I'm like, I'm not going to be able to do this. Mm-hmm. Before, I used to overthink with everything.
I do that at work all the time. I literally walk into work, and then when the phones are ringing, but then I have a customer texting me, and then I have messages on my Teams, and then I have an email from another customer. that immediately, like, it makes my chest tight.
I'm like,
it makes my chest tight, and then I have to, like, I literally have to take a deep ass breath. And honestly, this is part of the reason I stopped smoking in the morning. I don't even smoke before I go to work anymore. Like, for any of the feelers that are in tune, I am very 420 friendly. So if you guys hear me talking about smoking, I'm not talking about cigarettes or anything like that. And dude, I feel like at some point, like, I should just be able to burn on these episodes. But either way, we'll figure it out. Like Drink Champs. Like on Drink Champs, they just be burning, drinking.
one day it'll be legal here.
Yeah. I mean, dude, I got a medical card. So like,
You're still supposed to do it in
I
private.
get really anxious sometimes when we shoot these podcast episodes. But no, yeah, man, I just feel like, again, like, that's even like why I stopped smoking a lot in the morning too, because like I said, when I get to work, I want to be
fully present.
Not necessarily fully present, because I can smoke and be super functional.
I know, it's crazy.
But what I mean is, like, I don't want to be like dismissive of shit either, because that's one thing I will say, like, about smoking is, like, you smoke and
you get the case of fuckets.
Yeah, like, there's something in Cat Williams said it best, there's something in weed called fuck it. And if you just have a little bit of weed, you don't give a fuck about shit, basically. And it's like, man, the lights could go off and you could be like,
fuck them goddamn lights.
Man, fuck them lights. I got some candles. I've been waiting to burn them bitches. You know what I'm saying?
That's my favorite stand-up.
Oh, so funny. So funny. It's cryptochronic color light. You know what I mean? Like, this shit right here, this shit called death.
I'm so dead.
You hit this shit, you can't hear shit. You know what I mean? So, but, yeah, like, again, when I get that overwhelming feeling, like, I've had to come up with a system of when I get to work, and I even shared that with you, like, because when you go to work, like, yo, break your day down and prioritize the tasks that you have to get done based on the necessity of them. So, like, when I have a client who's waiting for a quote or things of that, so I'll prioritize that. Cool. I'll get that out the way. Then I have to, like, do, you know, maybe, like, customer profiles and organization of that. So, boom, that's next, because that's not pressing versus, like, the sales, right? So it's like things of that nature just really help with the overthinking and the overfeeling and just feeling overwhelmed by all those thoughts and emotions.
Yeah,
for sure.
I like that.
Hell yeah, man. Well, let's get into the end of the episode. Now, usually, to all the feelers that are in tune, we're going to switch it up on you guys.
Whoop.
Now, normally, when we finish our episodes, we usually do a question time where we go back and forth and we ask each other questions. I felt like maybe this time we could do something a little bit different.
Like it.
And I want to go with a segment that I'd like to call What I Learned This Week. Now, what that means, what I learned this week, is based on the topic or discussion that we had for this episode, we want to apply that topic or that theme to maybe what we learned about ourselves or maybe somebody else or a certain situation that kind of coincides with the theme and the topic. So I will let you take it away. You want to go first? And then ladies first, because mama raised a chivalrous man. You already know I'm a gentleman, but not a gentleman. Sorry, that was dumb. Shout out to my brother for that one. Go ahead, baby. Talk to me. Tell me, what have you learned this week, baby, especially when it comes to overthinking, overfeeling, things of that nature?
That I still struggle with it at times. I feel like I've been on a good ride of, like, that not really affecting me, and I've just been, like, chilling, smooth sailing through life and just being in my happy little bubble and just content, because for me, like, that shit's exciting because I put a lot of hard work into healing a lot of those aspects about myself. So when I get to a very comfortable place and it's pretty consistent for a while in my head, I, like, almost try to convince myself, like, you're healed, you're good, yada, yada, yada. But then when, like last night, for example, I got myself in a situation where I got very overwhelmed, very stressed out. I started overthinking about all these things. And again, my emotions completely hijacked the situation. I couldn't process anything logically. And I was so stuck in that mindset in that moment that, like, I couldn't even dial it back or turn it down. Like, I literally just got extremely emotional about it. I broke down crying. I gave you attitude. And then at the end of the night, I'm like, now I have to, like, look back on what happened and, evaluate it and see, like, where I went wrong and, like, the choices and actions I made throughout the process and, sit back and be like, yeah, that wasn't cool. I had to hold myself accountable. I had to apologize. And then really, assess like, okay, like maybe there are still parts of me that like I still need to continuously work on and give myself that grace. Like, it's okay. You have way, way less moments than you used to have. So, give yourself some credit for that instead of just like wallowing in it like where I used to and just be like, well, fuck it. This is just who I am. Like, I'm just so miserable and like talking down about myself. I was able to better understand and be like, that's not who I really am. I know I'm better than this. I know I can do better than this. I need to, take the advice my husband's giving me and try to apply it instead of trying to shut it down and just really just calculate it in a better sense. And that's one of the reasons why, like, I can resonate with this episode very easily because it was something very problematic for me. And now it's something that might happen here and there, but I'm able to get through it a lot faster. I'm able to hold myself more accountable and apologize easier and just address the situation at hand and just move. And that means a lot for me.
Hell yeah, man. I like that. I'm proud of you. And I want to just pull the one part that you said where, mentally you tell yourself, like, I am healed. I am capable. That, and I hate to keep referencing the book that I'm reading, but it is one of the biggest things is that you have to put yourself in the mindset of
you have to really believe it.
I don't want to say fake it till you make it, but almost in a sense, you have to put yourself in the mindset that you already have whatever it is that you are out to obtain.
Yeah, I've
so
been
whatever that is,
lot.
whatever this, because everybody I know, like if y'all close your eyes and you just visualize whatever it is that you're trying to grasp, whether it's a more healed, way of living, whether it's a monetary gain, whether it's, some sort of epiphany or whatever the case is, whatever it is that you're really trying to obtain, you have to visualize yourself deeply, deeply already having it. Like, what does healed Lisa look like? That's the person, whatever that image that pops in your brain, that's how you need to move every time. What would healed Lisa do? And I love that you brought that up and that you said, like, I envision myself like you are healed, like you are capable, you are strong, you are resilient, you are able to get back to baseline. Like, I love that, I love that for you. So that's really dope.
One of my biggest things right now in my healing journey is really focusing on manifesting and what that means and all of like what you just said. So
yeah, that's huge. That's definitely huge. And oftentimes they don't tell us how to really do it. Which is, again, why I recommend the book. Like, I'm gonna let you read the book after me. You have to. It will really change.
I have to finish my one book, but
with
then
the Mel Robbins book, right?
Yeah.
And then after finish that one, I highly, highly recommend Think Rich, Grow Rich. Like, I know it sounds like just a money thing, but it's not. Like, yes, it applies to all things in life, and it can even apply. The book even tells you, like, this mentality can also even apply to those. Like, you can use it to build, but you can also use this to destroy. It works both ways. Again, the same way that you can think the worst, you can also think the best, So yeah, hell yeah, man. That was dope. I like that. I love that. And I love that for you. And congrats, baby. I'm glad you are making progress within your healing journey. Proud of you always.
Love you.
I love you. All right, so what have I learned this week? I wrote mine down. I know because I'm not as nice as my wife is freestyling, apparently. But what I learned this week that silence isn't rejection. Sometimes it's just silence. My mind always tries to give it a meaning, and usually it wants to choose the worst one. So I've been practicing something new. I started assuming the best instead of assuming the worst. And it's wild how that tiny shift changes how I feel. So instead of spiraling, I feel calmer. And instead of taking things personally, I feel grounded. Choosing a better narrative actually gives me emotional peace that I didn't even realize I needed. And yeah, man, I mean, even with simple shit, like, getting cut off while you're driving. Oftentimes, that shit used to really, really piss me off. Lately, you can even ask Maya. She's been in my front seat. I'll be like, "Oh man, that guy must be in a rush." I hope he
Yeah,
gets.
your road rage was
I hope he gets to where he's got to
crazy.
get to. You know what I'm saying? Like, again, I'm so tired of assuming the worst out of people because that just means that I'm taking it upon myself to paint this person out to be a bad person.
And that's not fair.
And that's not fair to them because I'm not even giving them the opportunity or the space, which, again, if this is a relationship, whether it's a friendship or a romantic relationship like ours or even with family, at the very least, if I love you and I respect you, I should always grant you the space to defend yourself in the instance I feel like you did something wrong. Or at the very least, I should be able to come to you with something that may have bothered me to give you the opportunity to offer me, again, clarity. Instead of, like, oftentimes I feel like people be looking for closure, and closure I feel like oftentimes is associated with some sort of negative connotation because when I think closure, I'm thinking like, okay, I just want you to confirm my negative thoughts.
Yeah, I want it to be validated.
Versus I seek clarity now. So like I just want to
Oh,
clarify.
I like how
I
you
want
put that.
Yeah, closure we oftentimes is like, I just want to make sure it's true that you hate me. Weird.
I fucking knew it.
Yeah, exactly. You want the aha moment because I knew you were a fucking cunt. You know what I mean? Like that's what you're looking for. You're
Yeah.
looking to be right for the wrong reason when you want closure.
I like the way you
Versus
put that.
like for me, I seek clarity. Clarity to me, when I think clarity, I think sunshine. I think the clouds are and now the sky is clear. I can see clearly now the rain is gone. So clarity, I'm thinking, when I think clarity, I'm thinking also even a certain level of transparency because, you know, when you're looking through glass, you want the glass to have a high level of clarity. You want it to be able to be transparent. So it's like, to me, closure oftentimes means, again, enclosed closure, like to put a lid on it. Like, now we're doing this.
Yeah.
I'm cutting it off. I'm closing the lid on whatever this was. Versus clarity creates, again, there's that transparency between us. So yeah, man, that's really something I've just been really focused on. That's something I learned this week is just, you know, to stop assuming the worst. We have control over our thoughts, and you know, that little shift in perspective can save so much fucking resentment. And like, you know, like I've always caught myself like replaying conversations in my head, but like with a negative tone and shit. And like, you know, I just learned to stop doing that shit, bro. It's not worth it. It's not worth the pain to be a negative motherfucker. It's really not. And as much as people, and to be fair, the people that I see who choose that way of life ain't got shit going for them. I ain't never met a negative motherfucker that ain't a poor, broke motherfucker.
Again, it's all about everything.
I ain't never met a negative motherfucker who's been a fucking a gajillionaire, or somebody who is like, you can't be a negative person and be a leader. You can't be a negative person and fucking and you know, strive for greatness and success, because again, within that negative mentality becomes, you know, you generate self-doubt and all these things. And again, I just never met a negative person who's been on the top of their game, you know what I'm saying? Or who's been somebody that has had a dramatic impact on everybody's lives or things of that nature. Oftentimes the people that I like to associate myself with are people who have that positive outlook, and again, who just make positive choices, not just physically, but mentally as well. Like, you know, it's a whole construct. And you know, again, just not taking, oftentimes I feel like we take kindness for granted, man. We feel like people just don't have that ability anymore, so we don't even give them the opportunity to possess it because we've already snatched it from them with our negative mindset.
Yeah.
I don't even think you can be fucking nice, and if you do some nice shit, it's an ulterior motive. You're doing it because you're trying to finesse me. You're trying to get close to hurt me. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's such a shitty way to think, man. And I just, again, choosing those thoughts and choosing positivity and choosing to, again, assume the best instead of assume the worst, that has just helped alleviate so much stress for myself.
I love that.
Hell yeah, man. All right, guys. And hug. All right, guys. Well, you know how we finish every single episode. We like to leave you guys with a question that you guys can answer in the comments below, whether you're watching this on YouTube or on the socials, because at the end of the day, you never know when the why in your story is silent and becomes our story. So our question that we want to leave you with is, be honest. What is the most ridiculous thing you ever overthought or overfelt? Again, drop it in the comments below. Until next time, guys, keep feeling,
Keep sharing,
and keep it real within the feels.
Ooh.